Thank you, everybody, for coming here. Thank you for the audience participation and the people that have decided to spend some time with us today. Really grateful that you're around. My name is Tim Bogert. I'm the CRO and co-founder at Coin Genius, which means, among other things, I'm the chief beggar. But we're really grateful that you're here. And we're talking today on this panel about the creation of Bitcoin and the erosion of trust. Really quickly, before we get into the topic matter, I want to give each of you guys, let's say 30 seconds to introduce yourselves and give a little background. That way I don't have to read from my notes. So Dr. Mihaela, why don't you start and we'll go around. Okay, I lost her. Nick Saponaro, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. My name is Nick Saponaro. I'm the Chief Information Officer at the Divi Project. I've spent the last 3 years in the cryptocurrency blockchain space building technologies that make cryptocurrency easier to use and access. But before that, I was investing in the space. So I've been in crypto now about 6 years, I think, total. And it's definitely become probably the biggest passion in my life. So thank you for having me here.
Indeed. Indeed. Hey, Nick, just when you turn your back, I'm picking on you. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Nick Spanos. I've been around a long time. Libertarian also. I ran all the data and vote of contact for Ron Paul. I built the Bitcoin Center, which was the first live crypto trading floor. We built 100 feet from the New York Stock Exchange in 2013. And I think they made a movie about it over there, Banking on Bitcoin. Now that you got a lot of time at home, you can watch Banking on Bitcoin. It was the Netflix movie. I think it's on Amazon now. And how's it going? We built many things over the years.
Awesome.
Recently, blockchain center down in Miami.
Right.
We built Zap.
Great.
Bonding curation market.
Great. All right. Appreciate that. Peter, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
If you can hear me, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can see you.
All right. Awesome. Oh, thought I wouldn't get through this. All right. I'm Peter. I'm the founder of Advisor, which is a startup company advisory. Also chairman of Stacked, which is a company that automates crypto portfolio management as well as trading, and former nuclear reactor engineer for the French fleet. So that's always an interesting background, as not a lot of people have that. And in the blockchain space for about 3 years now. And so glad to contribute, glad to help.
Outstanding. Dr. M.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say that I'm so happy to be here with so many, as Brock was calling them, the warriors of the rings, which are changing the world. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about distributed intelligence systems. Well, let aside the intelligence, at least distribution of power. And I have studied that in many frameworks. Like from Bitcoin to Burning Man and beyond. I would sum it up because I co-authored this book. In the spirit of the conversation, I'd like to go on with your questions, Tim.
Great, thank you. And Manny, a quick couple of seconds on who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody, I'm Manny Alicandro. I'm an attorney in New York. I have a lot of experience in the capital markets, so I'm close to 30 years. Traditional capital markets. I was in-house counsel at NASDAQ. Also worked at JP Morgan. I was general counsel at a hedge fund. So been running my own practice now for a couple of years, focusing on blockchain and traditional capital markets as well. So I think I have an interesting perspective in terms of comparing kind of where we are, where I think we need to go with where we've been.
Awesome. So, I mean, the topic here is the creation of Bitcoin and the erosion of trust. So, as we all know, Bitcoin was created back in 2009 by either a person or persons known as Satoshi Nakamoto, correct? And the first block was the zero block, and it netted 50 Bitcoins. That was during a time where we were in a recession. And so I guess the first question is, the creation of Bitcoin, why was it so important then in retrospect, and why is it so important now? Dr. Ron?
Okay, so I just, I want to make a revision to the title of this panel, because what was first was the erosion of trust. And this actually led to, luckily, Bitcoin. And so in 2008, the banks failed us. So, now and forever, governments failed us. There are so many examples now. I will just cite one from today's news, which revealed that actually the CDC has hindered the application of tests which were already delivered by universities in the US. And this delayed, of course, and prolonged the agony, which led to what the exponential effects which we see today. So with centralized powers losing their legitimacy, Bitcoin rose as a salvation, first in response to the bank failures. Blockchain rose as a salvation in response to the government's failure. And therefore, the distributed autonomous organizations, all these streams which we have, programmable money as an instrument for that. I regard them, just like my predecessors, my speakers from before, as a true mechanism which we do not use. The problem is that, Henry Ford mentioned, and here I'm contradicting some of my fellows from the previous panel, who said that, well, it is okay to print all this money because everybody needs it. The problem is that the population doesn't understand what's going on. And Henry Ford was saying, if people would know, if regular folks would know how the monetary system is being manipulated, we would have a revolution tomorrow. And I'm here at this event with many of you revolutionaries out there, witnessing these days how each of this crisis is real. The weaknesses in the system, but this which we can actually proceed to right now. For example, power to the king is now given to New York, which has been, federally deputized and funded to take action. And they intend to give everybody a wallet so they can disburse money quickly, as well as to introduce many other financial fixes and mechanisms using distributed financial systems on blockchain. I will say more. I know I have a limited time, but
Right.
to say.
Well, I mean, since you mentioned New York, I'm going to go right over to Manny, since you're in the heart of the whole thing going on right now, Manny. But what do you think about what precipitated the evolution of Bitcoin and where we are now and the erosion of trust?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a great topic. I think there's a lot of comparability because there's a lack of fundamental trust within the institutions and the institutional system, say the banking system or the financial market system. And, if you look at what happened in 2007 and 8, what led up to kind of, the crisis we had and where we're at right now, it's very similar. There's a lot of patterns that unfortunately are repeating themselves. I mean, look at the small business loan, the Small Business Association loan program. Look at the relief funding that we have in place. There's questions about how people could actually apply. The systems are going down for unemployment. People can't get the relief checks. There's a lot of fraud. So let's not kid ourselves. The reluctance in terms of these applications that are being processed by banks, who obviously are very paranoid, in terms of alleged fraud that they're involved in, it's really slowing down the system. So there's clearly a lack of trust in the system. But we have inherent trust through blockchain, with each other or through the peer-to-peer system that we clearly don't have inherently in these systems that are supposed to instill and foster trust. So I kind of think, unfortunately, I'll give you a philosophical quote. I minored in philosophy as an undergrad. It's the eternal return of the same, Friedrich Nietzsche. Who, that's really kind of where we're at. I feel like with all the improvements we made, we need to rely upon a system, and hopefully it's the blockchain for transparency. Maybe even healthcare, public, private, whatever, but off-chain, on-chain. But we're kind of back to where I think we were a couple of years ago. How are we going to move us forward? That's the question.
Gotcha. Nick, Spanos, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think that I think that this is an evolution of the internet. You know, the internet before, you couldn't believe anything that was on the internet or any information. The foundation of the internet was built on openness, of course, and it served us very well. And now we also, because of so much openness, we need to protect our privacy, and using hashes protects our privacy, using blockchain protects our privacy. And I think there's a very exciting time in humanity that we have this tool. Finally, we have a tool that we can free ourselves from centralized systems, government, if you may, trying to protect our labor, our wealth that we've accumulated. And I don't think that the elected officials coming in and out have us individually or our wealth or our labor in mind when they put the stuff, when they make their decisions. They want to bring the poor pet home to themselves and be able to get reelected and find themselves in these big buildings. But now I think, especially now, the way the market, the way this virus popped out of nowhere. I mean, not out of nowhere. Many people predicted it. I think, this is a time where everyone's sitting at home. The barn doors are open to everyone's brains, and we could be able to communicate to them and be able to find a way to communicate to them. Get them on watching this podcast, this conference here, and many other ways. Any way you can figure out, communicate to them how they can use cryptocurrency to better their lives and to keep themselves, their identities protected, and to move forward in this new, and I don't want to say brave new world because I read the book, but this brave initiative that monetary initiative, this monetary revolution that's occurring, and I hope everyone that's listening that's not involved becomes involved because it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is, and I think, I agree with you about the fact that everybody's sitting at home. So a lot of, I think, the problem with trust and the erosion of trust is the lack of knowledge, right? So how do we spread the knowledge of what this arguably small community knows is the type of solution we're looking for, and to the people that are sitting at home, Nick Saponaro?
Yeah, I hear people say that education is key, and education is important when it comes to this technology. That's irrefutable, right? And Bitcoin has definitely laid a fundamental groundwork for what transparent monetary policy might look like. And a lot of people also feel that Bitcoin is a hedge against, equities, markets, commodities, whatever. But I always have felt that Bitcoin is a hedge against the failure of the monetary system, of fiat, which we're starting to see the cracks in the concrete, so to speak, of that system. The problem is, in my opinion, that education is, while it's key, the majority of people won't go out of their way to learn about these things. As much as it makes sense to us, we have to provide, in my opinion, beneficial technology, things that people can pick up and use and understand the benefit of immediately right out of the gate, rather than expecting them to read blogs, listen to podcasts, and go the extra mile to learn about all of this stuff. So I think that, again, Bitcoin has laid that fundamental groundwork for us. Now it's up to us as professionals in this industry to build those solutions that bring on the people that are literally just trying to pay their bills, just trying to figure out when they're going back to work right now. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, really, people need to be able to use the technology without actually knowing that they're using it. It has to be an ease of use and a trust process.
And Peter, I would say also to be incentivized. I just say, people need to be incentivized, because Enzo was giving the example of his son who's not using this amazing search engine now. Why would I use it? But in New York, if now I know that I'm going to get money via this digital wallet, of course I'm going to learn about it and I'm going to download it and use it. So incentives are very important.
Yeah, incentives, and like I said, ease of use, the ability to use it and trust it without knowing you're doing it. So, Peter, what do you have to say about that kind of thing?
Well, I wanted to get back on the sources of the erosion of trust and what exactly the consequences are, so that we understand the premises of Bitcoin a bit better. So I'm going to make an analogy, which in my previous field of expertise, nuclear reactor engineering. So let's imagine what happened in 2008 happened to the nuclear reactors field. So that you design a system that's supposed to produce energy, and it's dangerous. So you have to control it the right way, and you build safeguards in it. Who do you trust to maintain those safeguards? Where you got the regulators, you got the government, you got people with knowledge there. What happens if that blows up? Well, you go for alternatives, right? You say nuclear energy is far too dangerous. We trusted the safeguards, they didn't work. We trusted people, they failed us. There was gross malfeasance, there was fraud, there was incompetence, all that encompassed, and you look for alternative. Right now, if I'm asking you, what are those alternatives? You got a dozen or so solutions to provide to me. Now, the question is, what are the alternatives to banks or to the current financial systems? Name me something. You won't have much, because right now those are the cornerstones. We have built fail-safes, we have built safeguards, we have put people in charge of maintaining and reassuring those work, and they didn't. And so what's the alternative? There is no alternative. It's not like in this nuclear engineering field and the other energy. So now what do? You create a new system. But contrary to other sources, we had nothing before that.
Right.
And Bitcoin and the entire blockchain and crypto is the answer to a potential alternative solution. Now, it's not yet addressing all of what it has to address. It's technologically far from what it needs to be. And the challenges that currently needs to be faced are so numerous right now that we are far away yet to replace the entire system. But definitely we're creating those alternatives, and now you have DeFi that is now not just Bitcoin, which was one thing. Now it's an entire decentralized ecosystem that is supposed to answer the challenges of commercial banks failing, regulators not doing their job properly, and all that stuff.
Gotcha. Well, when I'm thinking about whether or not the trust is going to be built into what we're doing, it has to trickle down to the soccer mom, because when they start talking about it, when they start using it, that's when it's truly been adopted. I mean, I'm using that as a metaphor, but that's truly when we've realized what blockchain and cryptocurrencies can do for the average person, because they're using it to buy milk, or they're using it to buy a cheerleading outfit, or, a football uniform, or so on. So, when we're talking about the erosion of trust, we're talking specifically about fiat currencies, and what are the pitfalls? Well, we're watching them, right? Being able to produce them out of thin air, devaluation, so on and so forth. Other than blockchain or Bitcoin specifically, how can our industry help change that? We're looking at countries that are giving banks custodial ability. We're looking at countries that are bringing on digital currencies. How as a community do we reestablish that trust going forward when there's so many things going on that people are so confused about? Anybody have a comment on that?
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's Manny. I think we need to demystify Bitcoin and blockchain and the whole crypto industry. From my own personal perspective, I kind of want to jump on the heels of what Nick Saponaro said. I was going to say Nick S, but there's two Nick S's, so I don't want to be misleading. But we need to kind of it's education. It's also kind of getting rid of some of the smoke screens and kind of coming out from in front of the curtain, but behind the curtain. And maybe this would have been a good opportunity to get people some wallets and figure out how we could get them some type of cryptocurrency, or even pieces of Bitcoin that they could spend, right? So in terms of the utilization of it, and in terms of using it as a form and a means of it has economic value. I mean, the big concern right now is how do we get money, and obviously we're talking about fiat currency here, but how do we get money, whether it be in a form of, I mentioned earlier, the loans the grants to keep people working, so to have companies, small businesses pay their employees, or for people, individuals, to get the $1,200 relief check. Right now, it's a mystery if seniors haven't filed taxes, because a lot of senior citizens don't file taxes because they don't have enough income. There's a question: how do they get this $1,200 relief check? Well, they're going to get it in the mail. So the difference is, if they could direct the government, they direct deposit it, you get that check within a couple of weeks. If you don't have any direct deposit functionality and connection to the IRS, because you might not have sent taxes in, you're 80-something-year-old retiree, you're not going to get that check if you get it for like months. So there's a big disconnect. There's a lack of information. There's a lack of transparency, and fundamentally, detrimentally, there's a lack of knowledge. So I think we need to kind of demystify kind of the stuff we do if we're trying to bring Main Street into the process, and just kind of maybe boil it down to more simple terms, simple means where people can connect to us. I feel like sometimes some of the stuff I do and some of the stuff that we do is a bit out there. And I think to get that attraction and to get that adoption, to get more people to participate, we need to bring them in and not scare them away. And I think unintentionally, we might be scaring them away.
And there's more to your question, I would say, just briefly, so many people are getting educated now because they are at home and of course concerned about their finances and everything else. And I think with this comes also questioning the current system in which is at stake, and which our panel's topic is about, this trust. So if the government can print actually all this money anytime if needed, why would they need my tax money? Why can't they actually do without? So people will start to ask themselves many more questions, like, for example, where is my tax money going? Why can't I, blockchain, smart contracts, digital law, can decide where my money is going and track that and be much happier? Maybe I want it to go into health, into women education, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot to say. Programmable money and embedding social values, and even to the granular of the individual wishes and desire into money. That's what blockchain and the cryptocurrencies are enabling.
Gotcha. Hey guys, we've got about 4 minutes left. I'd like to give each of you kind of like a closing statement, right? So I'm going to start with Nick Saponaro. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you want to establish trust, the best thing you can do, even though we're building trustless technologies, and that's great, again, people aren't going to understand that. It's going to be in the background inevitably. Ultimately, we need to establish trust by building consistency. World-class user experiences. That's why people trust Apple, despite the ups and downs that they might have had over the years. The thing works every single time. We need to start doing that and onboarding users in a way that is, again, like Manny said, not scaring them away off the bat. Just onboard them the normal way. Get them into your app, give them a little bit of crypto, and tell them what they can do with it. If you lead them along the path to success, we'll see a lot more adoption of cryptocurrency. Agreed.
Thank you, Nick. Peter Rozsa.
I would concur with the two of the statements, which is first ease of use, which is connected to the not scaring them away. It has to become so simple that they don't need to think about anything, just pushing a button and sending it, and that's over. And then consistency over time, because time is the great equalizer. There is nothing that is more powerful than a solution that is proven over time. This is the only way to do it and bring people back to understanding, all right, we trust in this system because it has been proven over time.
Gotcha. Nick Spanos. 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, I think we're in an incredible moment in history. We have this opportunity now that everyone also is a captive audience. We're never going to get this opportunity again, because if we don't free ourselves with a decentralized, permissionless blockchain, they're going to imprison us with a centralized permission blockchain, and we have to do everything we can do. I mean, we have to put all our best efforts forward. Time is very short, and anyone out there listening, it's up to you guys to spread the word and onboard new people. I mean, right now, what are you doing all day? Just call someone up and onboard them.
Teach them how to do a wallet. Manny, what do you got?
Yeah, I think time is of the essence, right? I agree with Nick Spanos, right? I mean, the current system is broken, and it can't be clearer to everyone who touches it, who's around it, how broken the system is. So it's time for us to step up and preach the gospel and pitch the alternatives that we're talking about and ways to improve the system utilizing blockchain and utilizing cryptocurrencies, fundamentally Bitcoin. But this is our time. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it now.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. M?
Yes, so it is our time to change the monetary system. We have the tools, we have the technology, and we have the people, here, the warriors of the rainbow, so that we do not repeat the experience of the exponential effects, which especially New York has experienced now more than any other part of the world. Ask ourselves why we are here, so we do not find ourselves on the exponential point of no return when the climate crisis is going to strike.
Thank you, Dr. M, and thank you for all of you for being on the panel. Thank you for everybody who's attending today. Spread the word. There was a reason Bitcoin was created. It was because of the erosion of trust. We all have a responsibility to bring this to the people that need it most. Thanks again, and have a great day, guys.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.